freedom or fate? The philosophical debate about free will. Life presents us with a question that, sooner or later, we all confront. Are we truly free to choose our path, or is our destiny already set, regardless of our actions? This question has spanned centuries of human thought, challenging philosophers, scientists, and anyone who has ever paused to reflect on the meaning of existence. If you're searching for purpose, you've likely wondered to what extent your decisions are truly your own, or if they're merely pieces in a larger game, predetermined by forces beyond your control. Stoicism, one of the most practical and resilient philosophical traditions to emerge from ancient Greece, offers a fascinating perspective on this debate. The Stoics believed that while many external events are beyond our control, such as the weather, the actions of others, or even certain life circumstances, we have full authority over our reactions and interpretations. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's great figures, brilliantly summarized this. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them. In other words, even if destiny imposes certain limits, the freedom to respond to them is entirely ours. This doesn't mean Stoicism advocates a naive view that we can shape reality with our thoughts alone. On the contrary, it acknowledges the existence of inevitable factors, but invites us to focus on what we can transform: our mind, our values, and our choices. Imagine a storm damaging your home. You don't control the rain or the wind, but you can decide how to rebuild, how to adapt, and what lessons to take from the experience. This is the essence of freedom in Stoicism, not the absence of obstacles, but the ability to navigate them with wisdom. On the other hand, some argue that free will is an illusion. Certain branches of philosophy, and even modern neuroscience, suggest that our decisions are the result of a complex chain of cause and effect, influenced by our biology, environment, and past. In this view, when you believe you're making a conscious choice, your brain has already made the decision seconds before, without your awareness. If this is true, then our lives will be like rivers following a preordained course, even if we feel we're steering the rudder. But are these two perspectives necessarily opposed? Perhaps there's a middle ground. Philosophy teaches us that profound questions rarely have simple answers, and it's precisely in this complexity that the beauty of reflection lies. If destiny exists, it doesn't have to be seen as a prison, but as a stage on which we exercise our inner freedom. You may not choose the circumstances life presents you, but you can always choose what to do with them. Consider Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, who, even amid the horror of concentration camps, discovered that the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in the face of suffering, could not be taken away. His experience echoes the Stoic principle that, even in the most extreme situations, there is an inner space of autonomy. This idea isn't just inspiring, it's deeply transformative. If Frankl could find meaning in chaos, what does that say about the power of the choices we make every day? The search for meaning often begins when we realize that whether we're following a destiny or forging our own path, what matters is how we live in the here and now. Philosophy, especially Stoicism, doesn't give us ready-made answers, but offers tools to confront these questions with courage and clarity. And perhaps in the end, that is the greatest freedom of all, the ability to question, reflect, and grow, even when answers seem beyond our reach. At the first part of this reflection, led us to consider the limits and possibilities of free will. Now is the time to explore how these ideas apply to our search for meaning. Because deep down, we don't just want to know if we're free, we want to know how to use that freedom, whatever it may be, to live a life worth living. And this is where philosophy stops being a distant abstraction and becomes a practical guide for daily life. Stoicism, once again, proves incredibly relevant. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This statement seems simple, but it carries a profound truth. Even if the world around us is unpredictable and often unfair, we can cultivate a serene mind focused on what truly matters. This isn't resignation, it's empowerment. When we accept that certain things are beyond our control, we free up energy to act where we can make a difference. Imagine someone who firmly believes their destiny is written in the stars. If they approach this idea passively, they might neglect their responsibilities, attributing everything to chance or a higher power. On the other hand, if they interpret destiny as a set of challenges to be met with courage, their life gains an active purpose. The difference lies in perspective. Philosophy reminds us that it's not the facts themselves that determine our experience, but the meaning we assign to them. And what about the choices that seem small but, over time, shape who we become? From the moment you decide to wake up early to meditate, to how you respond to criticism at work, every decision is an exercise in freedom. The Stoics emphasize the importance of these micro-choices because they are the ground where virtue, or its absence, manifests. No destiny can take away your ability to be honest, compassionate, or resilient. These qualities don't depend on external circumstances, but on your willingness to cultivate them. Of course, there are times when life tests us in ways that feel overwhelming. Illness, loss, failure, situations that challenge any notion of control. It's in these moments that the debate between freedom and destiny takes on a more personal dimension. If you've ever faced such trials, you might have asked, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this?" Philosophy doesn't offer easy comforts, but it invites us to confront these questions with honesty. Perhaps the answer isn't in finding a hidden why, but in deciding what to do with the pain. As Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And therein lies the true inspiration. It doesn't matter whether you believe everything is predetermined or that each of us is the architect of our own path. What matters is that, right now, you have the opportunity to take a step, however small, toward a more conscious and meaningful life. It could be reading a book that expands your mind, helping someone without expecting anything in return, or simply taking a deep breath before reacting to a provocation. It's in these actions that freedom reveals itself, not as an abstract concept, but as a daily practice. In the end, the search for meaning may not be about finding all the answers, but learning to live well with the questions. Stoicism and other philosophical traditions don't exist to tell us what to think, but to remind us that thinking deeply, courageously, and honestly is itself an act of freedom. And if there's one thing we can say with certainty, it's that an examined life, as Socrates said, is worth more than a life merely lived. So, whatever your view on destiny or free will, may it inspire you to act, to grow, and above all, to choose, whenever possible, the path of wisdom. Regardless of whether we believe in free will or destiny, the true power is in how we respond to life. Stoicism teaches us that even when we do not control external events, we can always control our reactions, attitudes, and interpretations. Viktor Frankl and the Stoics demonstrate that the deepest freedom is not in changing the world around us, but in transforming our inner world, choosing meaning even in chaos. If you like this content or theme, click like and do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also share with someone who is also in need of listening to this content.